In this video, I am going to explain how is it that we can factor quadratic functions when a is 1, but we have a special case. Only special cases are going to be explained here. What is this special case? Well, one of your coefficients is a 0. So let's review a little bit. In our review, let's remember that this formula, ax to the second power plus bx plus c, this is our standard quadratic notation. Why is it that we always want to put it this way, or most of the time? Because here we are having the x to the second power first, then a regular x or x to the first power, and then just a number. Let's not forget that a represents an invisible number in this case, or the number that is in front of the x squared. In this case, that will be an invisible 1. B represents the number in front of the regular x, which in this case, it's a negative 3. And at last, C represents the number that is without a variable, in this case, negative 10. So, it is very important that we know what each one of these numbers are. In this case, we said that A equals 1, B is negative 3, and C is negative 10. Now, why do we want to do this? Because it's the way that we are going to be solving these problems. The process that we always follow to solve these problems is the following. First, number 1, we always multiply A and C. So in this case, I'm going to take my A, which is 1, times C, which is negative 10. A times C in this case is negative 10. Once that we do that, we're going to go to our second step, and it says, find factors of AC, the number that we got after multiplying A and C, which happens to be negative 10 in this case. So I need to find every single factor there. Okay, so two numbers that multiply give me negative 10. Negative 10 times 1, or negative 1 times 10. Also negative 5 times 2, or negative 2 times 5. So this is only the first part of my second step. Find the factors of AC. Every number that multiply, or every pair of numbers that multiply give me negative 10. But I need to select the ones that add up to, specifically, B. So what I'm going to do now is add these numbers and see which one gives me negative 3, because that's B. So I need to find the ones that add up to B. In this case, negative 3. So when I do negative 10 plus 1, that's negative 9. Negative 1 plus 10, that's 9. Negative 5 plus 2, that's negative 3. This is exactly my answer. Okay, so what does that mean? We know that every time that we find the factors, we're going to find something like this. Two things that multiply. And in each one, we are always going to have an x. Well, what we just found, negative 5 and 2, are going to be the numbers that are going to go here with the x's. So the first one is going to be a negative 5. And the second one is a positive 2. This right here is my factors. So this is the process. But now let's focus on the special cases. Here we have two examples of special cases. What do I mean? If I remember my notation, ax to the second power plus bx plus c. And then I look at this one right here, okay? I'm going to say, what is A? A is always the number in front of the x squared. In this case, that's an invisible 1. What is B? B is always the number that is next to the regular x. Here, there's none. Why is that? Because we can say that here we have 0 x's. So we know that B is 0 because there's no x's. And then at last, what is c going to be? C is always the number without a variable. In this case, I have a negative 49. Okay, now we're going to follow my steps. My first step is multiply A times C. So in this case, 1 times negative 49, negative 49. Then we need to look for the factors of negative 49. Numbers that multiply give you negative 49. So that will be negative 49 plus times 1, negative 1 times positive 49. And then negative 7 times positive 7. So remember, we make a list of every single possibility, but we are only going to select the one that adds up to B. In this case, they need to add up to 0. So negative 49 plus 1 is negative 48. Negative 1 plus 49 is positive 48. But negative 7 times positive 7 is 0. So that's my answer. So my factors are going to be, again, x here and x here. The first one is a minus 7. The second one is a positive 7. So this is only one type of special case. Let's look at the second type of special case. Why is this different? Well, let's start from the beginning. A, in this case, the number in front of the of an x squared is an invisible 1. B, the number next to an x is a 4. But then at last, for C, we have no number here. What does that mean? That we technically have a plus 0, telling us that our C equals 0. So when I do my first step, which is multiply A times C, what I'm going to multiply is 1 times 0, which is 0. From then, we're still going to do the same thing. Two numbers that multiply give me 0. But here there's a lot of possibilities. But remember the second part of your rule. They have to add up to 4. When you have this type of special case, it makes it a lot easier because if they need to add up to 4, you know that your answer is going to be 4 times 0, because 4 times 0 is 0. And when I add them, I get 4. So here, again, I'm going to have my two factors with x's. The first one is a plus 4. The second one, it's a plus 0. But here, I want you to take a look at this. This is going to be exactly the same as you saying x plus 4, plus 4 times x plus 0 is just x. And this will be your final answer, just like this was your final answer.